Did you know that some exercises you think are keeping you strong are actually sabotaging your back, causing pain, stiffness, and even permanent damage? If you're over 60 and still doing certain workouts without a second thought, you could be setting yourself up for a future of chronic back issues, or worse, spinal surgery. Yes, it's that serious. Your back isn't what it used to be. Decades of wear have weakened the discs, stiffened the muscles, and slowed recovery. But here's the frightening truth. Some common exercises seniors swear by are quietly accelerating back deterioration. If you want to stay active, pain-free, and independent as you age, you need to stop these 6 exercises right now before they destroy your back for good. 1. Sit-ups, a fast track to spinal disaster. Sit-ups might seem like a timeless, classic way to chisel your core, a go-to move etched into fitness routines for decades. But for seniors, they're a hidden menace. One of the most dangerous exercises you can do to an aging back. Picture this, as you curl your body up from the floor. Your spine doesn't just flex, it bends forward under a crushing, relentless pressure that squeezes the delicate discs cushioning your vertebrae. Back in your younger years, those discs were like plump, juicy sponges, flexible and brimming with resilience, effortlessly soaking up the strain of every twist and lift. But now, as the years pile on, those once robust cushions have withered, thinned out, dried up, and lost their shock-absorbing magic. Every single sit-up you grit through is like a vice grip on these fragile discs, relentlessly wearing them down until they bulge outward or worse, rupture entirely. At first, the warning signs are subtle, easy to shrug off, a faint twinge nagging at you after your workout, a slight ache that whispers as you haul yourself upright, maybe a touch of stiffness that lingers when you stand. You might think it's nothing, just a minor annoyance. But don't be fooled, that's damage quietly stacking up, a slow-motion wrecking ball to your spine. Over time, the toll becomes undeniable. Those discs start to crack under the strain, the surrounding nerves get pinched in a vice of misery, and then out of nowhere, a sharp, shooting pain explodes down your back or legs, a fiery jolt that stops you cold. One morning, you go to get up, and your back locks tight. A sudden, searing agony freezes you in place, leaving you stranded, unable to move without someone rushing to your side. What began as a simple, innocent exercise has morphed into a nightmare, a herniated disc or sciatica, ruthless thieves that strip away your mobility and often drag you toward the operating table. The worst part? Once those discs are battered and broken, they don't heal the way they once did. Your body's repair shop is out of business. You're left staring down chronic pain that never quits, movement that's clipped and cautious, and a creeping risk of arthritis that looms larger with every passing day. So ask yourself, how many more sit-ups can your back endure before it gives out completely, crumbling under the weight of a habit you thought was harmless? If you think that's grim, brace yourself. The next exercise might shock you even more. 2. Heavy deadlifts. The silent spine crusher. Deadlifts are hailed as the ultimate strength builder, a badge of honor in the fitness world, but for seniors, they're a stealthy assassin, a silent killer stalking your spinal health, especially when you're tempting fate with heavy weights. Imagine the scene. Each time you bend down, grip that barbell, and hoist it upward, your lower back doesn't just work, it takes the full, punishing brunt of the load. The muscles strain under the pressure, and your spine gets compressed like it's caught in a vice, squeezed beyond what it was ever meant to endure. When you were younger, your back was a fortress, muscles taut and sinewy, discs plump and resilient, shrugging off the stress with ease. But now, those defenses are crumbling, fading into a shadow of what they once were. Every deadlift you power through is a gamble, overstretching the ligaments that hold your spine together and grinding down the precious discs in your lower back until they're worn to a whisper. The damage sneaks in quietly at first, a dull ache that creeps up after your workout, a subtle tightness when you bend to pick something up. You might wave it off, chalk it up to the inevitable march of age, but don't be deceived. That's not normal wear and tear. That's destruction piling up, brick by brick. The discs thin out, losing their cushioning power, while the vertebrae start to shift, sliding out of line like a house of cards teetering on collapse. Inflammation creeps in, a slow burn that turns every twist, every turn into a painful, wincing ordeal. Then, one day it happens, one wrong lift, a slight twist you didn't plan, a weight just a hair too heavy, and you feel it, a sickening pop, a searing white-hot pain that rips through your back, and suddenly you can't stand straight, doubled over in agony. This is how spinal injuries strike. Torn ligaments snapping like overstretched rubber bands, discs slipping out of place, even vertebrae fracturing under the strain. Recovery? It's a slow, grueling slog, months of therapy, needles jabbing into your back, maybe even the cold steel of a surgeon's table, and even then your back never feels the same, a ghost of its former self. Simple joys, tying your shoes, scooping up a giggling grandchild, morph into struggles, battles you never signed up for. Deadlifts don't just jeopardize your workouts, they put your independence on the chopping block, threatening to steal the freedom you fought to keep. And yet, there's another exercise lurking, even more deceptive, ready to pounce. 3 high-impact twisting moves. The hidden disc destroyer. Twisting exercises, like Russian twists or the smooth arc of a golf swing, might feel like a fantastic way to keep your body limber, a ticket to staying loose and agile as the years roll by. But for seniors, they're a sinister saboteur, a hidden destroyer of spinal health lurking in plain sight. Every rapid twist you crank through doesn't just stretch your frame, it torques your spine with a ruthless force, grinding the discs between your vertebrae and overstretching the muscles that desperately try to hold everything together. In your youth, your back was a marvel of engineering, discs flexible and bouncy, muscles strong and unyielding, snapping back from this kind of stress like a rubber band. But as you age, that once sturdy resilience fades into a distant memory, eroded by time. Each twist becomes a tiny assault, chipping away at those discs, carving out microscopic tears that don't just sit there. They build, stacking up like a debt you didn't know you were accruing. At first it's deceptive, almost dismissible, just a whisper of stiffness after your workout, a little discomfort that tugs at you, maybe a catch in your back when you turn too fast to catch a glimpse of something. You tell yourself it's nothing, a fleeting nuisance, but that's a lie you can't afford to believe. It's a warning, a red flag flapping in the wind. Those tears don't heal the way they used to. They fester, growing worse with every repetition, paving the way for bulging discs that press outward, pinched nerves that scream in protest, and a relentless gnawing pain that sinks its claws in deep. Then comes the moment of truth. One twist too far, a sudden violent jolt that rips through you, and your back seizes up like a rusty lock, refusing to budge. You're left with a herniated disc, or worse, stranded in a body that betrays you, unable to move without excruciating, bone-deep pain that makes you gasp for relief. The activities you cherish, kneeling in the garden, swaying to music, even easing into the driver's seat, fade into distant memories as mobility slips through your fingers like sand. The danger is insidious, gradual, and sneaky, creeping up so quietly it's easy to ignore until the damage is done, and the clock can't be turned back. How many twists have you already risked, brushing off the signs? If this feels alarming, hold on. The next exercise might be one you're doing right this moment, oblivious to the harm it's quietly unleashing. 4. Overhead presses with heavy weights. The silent backbreaker. Overhead presses might look like a safe, straightforward way to sculpt stronger shoulders, a controlled move that promises power without peril. But for seniors, they're a wolf in sheep's clothing, a deceptive threat to your spine that strikes when you least expect it. Picture this: as you lift those heavy weights above your head, your lower back doesn't just adjust, it arches unnaturally, bowing under an immense, unrelenting pressure that bears down on your vertebrae and discs like a sledgehammer. In your younger days, your body was a well-oiled machine, your core tight and steady, your spine a pillar of strength, stabilizing the load with ease. But now, time has chipped away at that fortress. With muscles weakened and discs thinning out, that once reliable stability is a ghost, leaving you vulnerable. Every press you push through strains your spine in ways it was never built to endure, compressing it mercilessly, testing limits it can no longer meet. The damage begins small, subtle enough to dismiss, tightness that lingers after a set, a dull ache that settles into your lower back like an unwelcome guest. You might shrug it off as mere fatigue, a sign of a good workout, but don't be fooled, it's the first whisper of trouble, the opening act of a slow disaster. Those discs start to bulge under the weight, pressing outward ominously. The vertebrae grind against each other, bone on bone, and inflammation sneaks in, a quiet fire that smolders beneath the surface. Then, one day, mid-lift, the reckoning arrives. Something shifts inside, a sharp stabbing pain knifes through your back, and the weight crashes down with a thud that echoes your mistake. You've just rolled the dice on a spinal compression fracture or a herniated disc, injuries that turn your life upside down. Recovery. It's a nightmare, weeks of forced rest, endless therapy sessions, maybe even the cold reality of surgery, and even then your back emerges a shadow of itself, never fully whole again. Everyday movements, reaching for a high shelf, lifting a grocery bag, transform into painful reminders of a choice you didn't realize was a gamble, a decision that now haunts every step. The worst part, you thought you were building strength, not breaking your foundation. If this feels like a wake-up call, brace yourself. There's another exercise, even more common, quietly wrecking your spine with every innocent repetition. 5 long-distance running. The spine's stealth enemy. Running might feel like a fountain of youth, a glorious rush that promises to keep you vibrant and alive, pounding the pavement as if you could outrun time itself. But for seniors, it's a cunning foe, a stealth enemy of your back that strikes hardest when you're lulled into complacency, especially on those unforgiving hard surfaces. Every stride you take isn't just a step forward. It sends brutal shockwaves rippling up your spine, jolting the discs with a force that rattles your vertebrae like a jackhammer on concrete. In your younger days, your back was a champion. Discs thick and plump, muscles a fortress of cushioning, soaking up the impact like a sponge. But now, those once mighty defenses are worn thin, frayed by the years, leaving you exposed. Each step chips away at the discs, a relentless assault that compresses them until they crack or bulge under the strain, their protective power fading with every mile. The signs creep in subtly. At first, a stiffness that lingers after your run, an ache that settles in when you sit too long, nagging at you like a quiet alarm. You might ignore it, brushing it off as age creeps in, a natural toll of growing older. But don't kid yourself. It's not just time, it's damage. Pure and simple. The constant, bone-jarring pounding erodes the spine's cushioning, stripping away its resilience until chronic pain digs in deep, pinched nerves flare with every move. And even spondylolisthesis looms, where vertebrae slip out of place, a silent betrayal of your body's framework. Then, one day it all unravels, a misstep on uneven ground, a sharp, blinding pain tears through you, and your back collapses, leaving you sidelined, crumpled in defeat. Recovery isn't a quick fix. It's months of rest, grueling therapy, or worse, the surgeon's knife, all for a back that never regains its former strength, a shadow of what it was. The freedom to move, to savor life's simple joys, strolling through the park, chasing after a grand kid, slips away like smoke, stolen by an exercise you thought was your ally, a lifeline to vitality. How many miles have you logged, convincing yourself it's all worth it, while your spine silently begs for mercy? If this stings, hold tight. The final one might be the biggest surprise of all, a twist you never saw coming. 6. Excessive bending and lifting. The everyday back killer. Bending and lifting, whether it's kneeling in the garden, pulling weeds, or lifting heavy objects off the floor, seems like a natural, unavoidable part of life, a routine woven into the fabric of your day. But for seniors, it's a silent back killer, a deceptively ordinary act that's secretly plotting against your spine. Each time you bend forward and lift, your spine doesn't just flex, it curves under a punishing strain, stressing the discs that cushion your vertebrae and overworking the lower back muscles until they groan in protest. In your prime, your back was a powerhouse, discs sturdy and unyielding, muscles springing back like they were made of steel, handling the load without a second thought. But now, those once trustworthy discs have turned brittle, fragile as cracked porcelain, and your muscles tire fast, worn out by decades of duty. Every bend you force upon them wears them down further, carving out micro tears in the discs, tiny wounds that seem harmless but grow into major life-altering problems. It starts small, almost too subtle to notice, a soreness that creeps in after an afternoon of yard work, a stiffness that grips you when you try to straighten up, a faint complaint from your body. You dismiss it as normal, a shrug-worthy part of aging, but that's a dangerous mistake. It's a signal, a flare shot into the sky warning you of trouble brewing. Over time, those discs bulge outward under the pressure, the spine misaligns like a track jumping its rails, and pain settles in, constant and unyielding, a companion you never invited. Then, one lifts too many tips, the scales, a bag of soil, a box from the garage, and it happens a sudden snap. A crippling bone-deep pain explodes through your back, and you can't stand, frozen in a moment of shock and helplessness. This is how disc ruptures and spinal strains ambush you, ruthless thieves that rob you of the ability to do the simplest tasks, carrying groceries, tying your laces, even standing tall. The worst part, it's not just the big dramatic lifts that get you, it's the daily repetition, the quiet, mundane bends you barely register, that destroy your back piece by piece, leaving you dependent on others for things you once did with ease, a shadow of the independence you cherished. How many bends have you ignored, thinking they're harmless, while your spine silently fractures under the weight? So what's next? Will you keep going, or change course before it's too late? Stopping these exercises doesn't mean giving up on fitness. It means getting smarter about it. Your back has supported you for decades, now it's time to support it. Low-impact alternatives build strength without breaking you down. Swimming, stationary biking, and walking on soft surfaces keep you active without jarring your spine. Core exercises like planks, done safely, strengthen your back without bending it to its limits. Light resistance training with controlled movements builds muscle without overloading the discs. Flexibility matters too. Gentle yoga or stretching keeps your spine limber, reducing stiffness and strain, and balance work, like standing on one leg, steadies you, cutting the risk of falls that could ruin your back. Most importantly, listen to your body. Pain isn't progress, it's a warning. Sharp aches, lingering soreness, or stiffness means stop, not push. The goal is to stay strong for life's moments, lifting a grandchild, tending your garden, moving freely, not to sacrifice your back for a workout. Your choices today decide if you'll thrive or struggle tomorrow. I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned here that you'll apply to protect your back? Share it below. Let's inspire each other. If this video helped, comment with a 1, if not, a 0. Your feedback keeps us going. Like, share, and subscribe for more tips to live strong and free. Thanks for watching. Here's to a healthier, happier you.